You're listening to Keeping It Real with Janine, your guide to living an authentic, healthy life. I'm Janine, and every 2 weeks I have an inspiring conversation with an ordinary person leading an extraordinary life. My conversation today is with Dame Doria Cordova, or DC, who is definitely an inspiration, and it's so wonderful to have her back on the podcast again. And today she's going to talk about Ho'oponopono. Doria, DC, is the CEO and owner of Accelerated Business Schools, and her Money and You program has inspired some of today's best-known business education and wealth experts, touching on literally the lives of millions. Her work is a significant contribution to planetary transformation. Doria is a humanitarian, philanthropist, and author. Her purpose: to uplift humanity's consciousness through socially responsible businesses. Her mission: to transform educational systems around the world and eradicate poverty and hunger. Hi, DC.
Hello, how are you? So happy to be here with you.
Yes, it's so awesome to have you back on the podcast and to talk about Ho'oponopono. I was so excited when I found out that you are, may I say, an expert in the subject, and because I've been looking for someone to have on the podcast to talk about Ho'oponopono. So here we are.
Yes, I call myself a practitioner. I don't know if you could ever be an expert, but boy, we're practicing.
Well, let's say you're highly knowledgeable.
Okay, that'd be good.
Okay, so I thought we would start with the history, setting up the whole idea of what Ho'opono is, where it came from, how it came about. Then we can talk about how to use it too. And I believe you've offered to also share the process and lead the listeners in the process, which will be wonderful.
Absolutely. Actually, the process itself, the prayer, is only about 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And what takes the time sometimes is the preparation. But let me just give you a little bit of history about this. And let me talk about this personally. I attended my first Ho'oponopono retreat or intensive. I believe it was November 1984. It could have been 83. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter. It's that long ago. And my friend Eric Smith, who came from the Big Island, introduced me to the work. And I actually had an injury that happened after I visited with Fidel Castro. I had a private audience, 5 of us, with the Fidel Castro. Mm-hmm. And that happened in 1984. So I'm pretty sure that I first did the prayer that following November. It was Castro in April 3rd and Ho'oponopono in November. And I had this mishap after I came back, and I really saw the power of Ho'oponopono at that time and the healing that occurred not only for me physically, but also in my heart, because it had been such an incredible experience to have been there. And I picked up some weird energy because Cuba is actually in a very interesting place in the Caribbean where they do a lot of dark magic, and it's a very interesting place, even if you're not a believer. Mm-hmm. I had this negative experience that Ho'oponopono really helped me with. Mm-hmm. So when I went to the program, you spend 3 days in going through all of the traumas of your life, and you literally make lists for 3 days. And you're just going through all the places you lived, all the traumatic experiences you had. Every single person in your family, their full name, everyone in your family, everyone that you have engaged with in any kind of relationship, and teachers, and Morrnah, and she was co-leading it, and her protege was Dr. IHaleakala, who's still doing amazing work, Dr. Stan, and he put the word IHaleakala in front of his name. And they were leading this program, and they were both talking about that, particularly the people that you had the biggest aka chords, AKA, and these are chords that get created with other human beings and with situations and with things that really have an effect on you.
Mm-hmm.
So she was saying that one of the biggest aka cords are sexual. That
Mm-hmm.
when you interact with someone intimately, pretty much you're not only picking up, you're creating major aka cords with that person, but also with every single person they've been with. And that's those aka cords people carry. And also the projections that people have on you, so that if you are a leader, you are a movie star. God, it came up. This was in Hollywood, and there were a couple of actors in the room. And it was really interesting because it came up about porno stars. And it like the most insidious aka cords, that get projected onto that person. And it was so fascinating. I had to tell this cute little funny story.
Okay.
She loved Tom Selleck. She loved Tom Selleck because PI Magnum had happened, a few years before. And she loved Tom Selleck. And she was constantly doing ho'oponoponos on Tom Selleck to keep him nice and clean. And I thought, he's a lucky guy. And I actually included my favorite actors at the time. And then later, Tom Cruise, who I had seen pretty young, and he became my favorite actor. He still is. I still sometimes include Tom Cruise on my Ho'oponoponos. It's almost like it as a memory to Morrnah Simeona. And now I'm actually including in Ho'oponoponos, El Presidente Trump and other world leaders around the world. And so what begins to happen, what I learned was how much influence and spiritual power one human being can have, that you and I can have by doing this beautiful prayer of supporting the world and supporting yourself in cutting aka cords. So
DC, before you continue on, would you define Ho'oponopono for our listeners?
Yes, the word Ho'oponopono actually means the way of the I, the letter I.
Okay.
And I stands for the divinity. The God, the I is the great spirit, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
So it's aligning the inner family. And Morrnah gave it certain names. And so I just wanted to share a little bit about this. Comes from Wikipedia, so people can really look it up.
Okay.
And I'm going to read some of the highlights. But Ho'oponopono in 1976, Morrnah Simeona. And I want to just share a little bit about Morrnah before I go to this. Morrnah Simeona was a magnificent Kahuna Lapa'au, which means a priest who heals with words, the keeper of secrets in the Hawaiian folklore. And so Morrnah, she was a very special human being that really, at some point, some of the purists in the Hawaiian folklore, in the Hawaiian families, were not happy with the fact that she had broken away, that she had began in 1976 to modify the traditional Hawaiian forgiveness and reconciliation process of Ho'oponopono to the realities of the modern day. Ho'oponopono is used by Hawaiian families as a process of forgiveness and reconciliation, and a Ho'oponopono process for them can last days.
Oh, wow.
When families get together and they have upsets and hurts and there's things happening in the family, all the family will get together and go through a Ho'oponopono process. That's what Hawaiians actually practice is that the people that are true Hawaiians and in Hawaii and in other parts of the world. But Morrnah's version was influenced by her Christian. Her Christian background and education was in Protestant and Catholic, and her philosophical studies about India, China, and Edgar Cayce. It was a combination of Hawaiian traditions, praying to the divine creator, and connecting problems with reincarnation and karma, which resulted in a very unique new problem-solving process that was self-help rather than the traditional Hawaiian process, group process. So, but she had no qualms about adapting traditional concepts to contemporary applications, though she was criticized by some Hawaiian purists. So her system uses Ho'oponopono techniques to create a working partnership amongst the three parts of the mind or self, which she calls by Hawaiian names, as well as by terms subconscious, conscious, and the superconscious. And she presented the trainings and lectures on Ho'oponopono to the United Nations, to nearly a dozen states in the US and more than 14 countries, quite a few of them in Europe, but also Russia and Japan. And she has an amazing background. But one of the most beautiful things that is interesting for me to always talk about Morrnah is that on March 25, 1992, which was the month after she passed on, U.S. Senator Daniel Akaka, who just passed on last year from Hawaii, eulogized Simeona in the congressional record, and he noted that she had learned that the original plaster cast of the cast iron Statue of Freedom, which stands on the top of the dome of the United States Capitol, was being kept in storage. And she raised $25,000 to refurbish it and restore it. And as a result, it was moved and placed on display in the Russell Senate Office Building. Now it's called the Capitol Visitor Center, where Akaka said it would serve as a remembrance of Simeona.
Wow.
She had world effects. I mean, she affected many people. She got the guidance that she was supposed to modernize Ho'oponopono in a way that most of the world could accept it and possibly practice it. And what is so interesting that, of course, she passed on in 1992. And you fast forward, a decade and a half, and Dr. of course, Stan IHaleakala continued with the work, and he has a whole book was dedicated to him by Joe Vitale, where Dr. IHaleakala literally closed down a mental hospital just using the Ho'oponopono process. And so Joe Vitale wrote two books, and the second one called At Zero, and it's all about the Ho'oponopono process. When he discovered, we're both members of the Transformational Leadership Council, which is a group created by Jack Canfield about 15 years ago. He discovered that I had been a practitioner since, the mid 80s and had met Morrnah. He wanted me to write the foreword of his book At Zero. And it is, again, a whole explanation of and a teaching of Ho'oponopono, but with new words. And I think some people have heard that, the four things that Joe Vitale teaches, which is, I love you, please forgive me, thank you, I am sorry. And so that's the essence of Ho'oponopono. Just say the word Ho'oponopono.
Ho'oponopono.
Yeah, and everyone who's listening can also say Ho'oponopono.
Ho'oponopono.
And when you say those words, it actually means those four things. You're asking for forgiveness. You're telling whatever the personal situation that you love them and that you are sorry and that you are going to, do whatever you can to make up for that situation. So it has been modernized, and it's interesting for me to watch people like Joe Vitale do a whole Ho'oponopono certification process. I'm not sure about that because I know that Morrnah taught me, at least, and the group that we learned with her, that you have to be very careful on putting this prayer out. Like, for instance, I am going to say the prayer, and somebody may have the good idea to go ahead and transcribe it and begin to do it themselves. And I would recommend that until you do days and days of clearing, if you begin to do a lead Ho'oponopono prayers, that you will begin to attract a lot of energy to you and a lot of cords to you. It seems very simple, but I have seen so many examples, situations where you have to really be very clear, and you will know in your heart of hearts, you will know when you can actually lead it. I didn't start leading it until about 5 years after I had originally done it and had practiced it constantly. In 1989, I asked Morna to come and lead it at one of my accelerated business schools in Kona, and she couldn't come. She was already pretty ill. I didn't know that. But she says, honey, she says, I can feel that you have practiced and you have done the work. It's time for you to lead it. And I remember how nervous I was. First Ho'oponopono with my class of very successful entrepreneurs, and it was quite a large class. And as soon as I began to lead it, I could feel that it was the right thing. So it's not something to be taken very lightly. It is a very beautiful, powerful process.
I get that. So just to be clear, before Morna decided or chose or was inspired to kind of modernize Ho'oponopono, it was really done just in groups in Hawaii.
Oh, amongst only the Hawaiian people. It was a secret. It was considered a secret. I have actually spoken to Hawaiian people that felt like that this was one of the greatest Hawaiian secret. That's why a kahuna is actually the translation of a kahuna is the keeper of the secrets. And this has been used for hundreds and hundreds of years and for many years. And it has been passed down from kahuna to kahuna. But Morna, I personally heard her say that she had no choice but to put it out to the world because she was guided by the eye to do that, because the world was in such bad condition that the whole world needed Ho'oponopono. And so some of the Hawaiian families were very upset with her because she broke rank, so to speak. But she felt like it was time that she had to do it. And I have to admit that I have seen such incredible reconciliation that has happened, not only in my own life, but of others that have practiced and have studied the Ho'oponopono prayer, that I feel that she did the right thing. But then I also want to mention and apologize to the Hawaiian people that felt offended, that felt like there was a rule broken. And, the keepers of the secret know better. And it was a breakaway from a tradition. But at the same time, I think that this is the evolution of healing on the planet, that there are certain tools, and it happens in every major healing practice, that someone will translate it and will put it out to the world. And the people who are very core and at the center sometimes will disapprove of that. So I actually include Ho'oponopono when this comes up, and I say Ho'oponopono so that I am forgiven by anyone that I have offended by continuing to do this. But in my heart of heart, I know it's the right thing to do.
Yes, I absolutely would agree. I would like to flesh out a little bit something that you mentioned, because I remember reading about, and how do you pronounce his name? The doctor who worked in the psychiatric department.
Dr. IHaleakala.
IHaleakala. That this was a state prison psychiatric department for mentally ill people. There were 30 prisoners. It was a horrible place. They could not keep staff. The staff turnover was really high. And when he came in, he actually stayed in his office and did not see these prisoners. It wasn't like a face-to-face thing. He had from my understanding is he had their charts in front of them, and all he did was Ho'oponopono. Yes. And they ended up releasing, I believe, everyone, and ended up closing the institution.
Yes.
And that's all he did.
Yes.
Isn't that amazing? And it took, it took 4 years. Oh, I've got this little book, but this is one of my favorite little books, Ulrich Dupree. on Ho'oponopono. This and the Four Agreements are kind of my two favorite little books. It says, after 4 years, all the inmates except for 2 were cured, and the institution was finally closed. Wow.
Yes, and that is what I think Joe Vitale also found out about it. And Joe is such a great marketer, and
yes,
in regards to passing information like this, that he started doing programs. He did programs with Dr. Stan. He put the letter I in front of his name, Haleakala. Of course, Haleakala is the mountain that is used and is talked about in the Ho'oponopono process. And Haleakala is the mountain on the island of Maui with the big, beautiful, crater that goes, I think, is 24 miles long. So Dr. Stan Haleakala, he actually verified this. They kept records of this. This is like a scientific study. And so it was that Joe Vitale was so fascinated on and wrote the original book on it. And then at Zero, where, I did the foreword of that book. And so I think they feel compelled to also put this out. But Morrnah knew this was going to happen. They knew that different people were going to pick this up. Ideally, of course, I think is like any other ancient ritual. I think that it works so beautifully in groups. But here we are doing a podcast that God only knows where it's going to land and right now. And somebody, they learn how to say the word Ho'oponopono, and they begin to have peace. And there is a little prayer that I will say in the actual prayer itself, and it's called the Peace of I. And Morrnah used to teach us that when you get on airplanes, you literally put 300 million piece of I, PEACE of I, of the I, all around the airplane, and you will be very safe, and everyone in the plane, and put it around your car. And so what I began to do in the old days, we used to just put our Ho'oponopono little book and put it on our car so that the car would learn Ho'oponopono, because she said that every single thing on the planet, everything, cars and trains and airplanes and boats and homes and computers, they all have an I. They all connected to the I. So when you say, when you connect them and teach them Ho'oponopono, they will protect you. And I don't want to go off into a lot of stories, but I have to tell you that I have had potential incidents in my car that were short of miraculous, that I'm pretty sure that is because all of my cars since the mid 80s, I have taught Ho'oponopono to. And so there isn't anything. And so it's in my computer, it's in my phone, it's everywhere, the prayer. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to send you some diagrams that actually have a picture of the Haleakala and some of the words that we're going to use, and people can just, get that graphic, put them in their computers, and see if it doesn't begin to possibly erase some of the challenges that they have in their lives. And I can't tell
awesome. Thank you, DC. I really appreciate that, and I'm sure the listeners do too. While we were talking, I put my little Ho'oponopono book on top of my computer.
Well, I don't even know. All I can say is that this is really, I'm a full-on businesswoman. I run huge programs. I work with high level executives. I meet with prime ministers, and I meet with ministers of education and of trade. And I know some of the most influential people on the planet. Have met with Fidel Castro and all this. And I have to tell you that I have a very left brain, very methodical, very system-based life. It's like and so this is the other side of my life that I'm sharing with the world, so to speak. And I do Ho'oponoponos for a group of friends, and I put it up on Facebook for those that are interested, and then I send them the links and they get included in it. And so it's not a secret, but I have to tell you that for me, it has worked. So I have the experience of it working, and I can't tell you, I, I wouldn't begin to try to pretend to know why it works, except that I think it's a very good thing, and it disappears conflict and anger and hurt. And I keep doing Ho'oponoponos with Donald Trump, and I'm beginning to see a part of him that, and of having compassion for him. And I send Ho'oponopono to all of his family and his grandchildren and the children of his grandchildren that haven't been born yet, because he has attracted to himself multi-generational damage. And so if there's any way that I can support for him and his children and great-grandchildren who have nothing to do with him, except that they're related to him, that have nothing to do with his behavior or his actions. And so I'm noticing that I'm beginning to have a better understanding of him and all the people that voted for him. Because when I started in this process, I couldn't understand some of my friends that I love and we're so close, that they would vote for someone like him. And I truly could not understand it. So as I began to practice more and more Ho'oponopono, I'm beginning to release and let go. And I truly feel that that's where the peace will come in. That's where, and we can do it with our leaders, and we can do it with bosses and with people that we have deep resentment. Everyone has somebody in their lives that if they think about them, they have all this stuff that comes up, and those are the aka cords that have been activated. So when you just say the word Ho'oponopono, especially after you do the prayer, it will disappear.
And all that can do is raise your vibration, help you to be a happier, more at peace, more fulfilled person.
And when you see, yes, because when you see these people, then, I watched the State of the Union, and then I saw, his daughter and husband, and I know that I've been including them in my prayers, and I feel good about it. I look at them and I go, I include them in my prayers. And that makes me feel better about myself. Whereas if I am hating people or throwing daggers at them, I don't feel that way. And I feel like I'm tapping into an energy that I don't wish to tap into.
Right.
And the only thing that we are in charge of is the mastery of our own life, our own minds, our own consciousness. So I want to start the prayer a little bit by sharing what I'm going to do.
Okay.
And I'm going to share the preparation. And then for all those of you that are listening to this and you have the ability to put it on pause, I'm going to ask you to pause and do some of the process and then come in and do the prayer with me. So why don't we get started? And because we can talk about this all day long.
Yes.
And I want to prepare them. So the Ho'oponopono process is a release. We're going to do I am going to be speaking, and you can be lying down, or you can have your eyes closed, have your eyes open. And I'm going to be saying certain words. I already explained the word aka cords, and the word aka cords are connections and attachments. And the ideal is to have no aka cords with anyone so that it doesn't affect your personal connection to the Great Spirit, so that you can be more present. This includes parents, includes beloveds, particularly spouses or people that you are in an intimate relationship with. And it doesn't matter what sexual orientation you are, it doesn't matter what nationality, it includes every single person. Then I'm going to be talking about, I'm going to use a word aumakua, which is father. And the au means to bathe, to swim in, and makua means father. So when we say the word aumakua, we're talking about the father, and that we are swimming, and we're bathing in. Okay?
Is that like the creator?
No, the creator is the I. This is the inner family, the inner father, inner mother, and the inner child.
Okay.
So the father is the aumakua. Okay, and we're being bathed by and in the energy, and she said the Holy Spirit, because again, this brings us back a little bit to her background. Of course, the Hawaiian, families did not use that. They didn't know about Jesus Christ or the Holy Spirit at the time, even though they had their version of the Creator. And here we could go into a long conversation. I just want to make sure everyone knows that we are now talking about the modern version of Ho'oponopono.
Okay.
The next word is the word uhane, which is the mother and the conscious mind, And we are then have the inner child, which is the unihi'ipili. So what we're going to do in the Ho'oponopono prayer, we're going to cleanse the inner child, the unihi'ipili. The unihi'ipili, according to Morrnah, went from life to life to life with us, and it just picked up all this crud. The unihi'ipili has all of the negative experiences, and all the hurts, and all the upsets, and all the horrendousness. And in the prayer itself, you will hear words that talks about homicides and infanticides, and that she did that because in the old days, the Hawaiians, used to have, it's the dark side of the Hawaiian, history of, the old days. They didn't accept babies that were not completely healthy. So she did a lot of healing around that, and many Hawaiians have done that. So this is way past. This is hundreds of years ago. So what we're working on is when a human being has their inner father, inner mother, and inner child lined up, it's a very powerful human being. It's a very little can touch them because they don't get hooked to anything. They don't take anything personally. And then you can actually begin to hook it up with the teachings that you love of Don Miguel Ruiz, that the 4 agreements. What are the 4 agreements?
Do not take anything personally. Always do your best. Never assume. And there's one other that I always forget. I got a blank on it. I just wrote about it recently too. What's the 4th one?
Do your best, I think.
No, I did that. I did do your best. Do your best. Never assume. Don't take anything personally. What's that?
Oh, it's a really big one. Because I'm in the Ho'oponopono, I can't remember the 4 agreements. But when you remember, you let us know.
I will. Yep.
We're very expanded right now, so it's not your fault. So as you can see, do not take anything personally. The Ho'oponopono process will begin to really help you because it will help you with that, because nothing really is personal. People are constantly projecting their own beliefs and thoughts onto you. So it's like I say to certain people that attempt to put me sometimes on a pedestal. I said, why are you giving me so much power over you? I don't think that's a good idea, because you're probably not just doing it with me. You're probably doing it with everyone. And not everyone, but a lot of people that you probably shouldn't be. So we are all equals. All human beings are equal. Money doesn't make you better, or knowledge or education, or, your status in society, because some of the biggest, most beautiful leaders that in history have been people that they are known for their character and the contribution that they have made to humanity. So the Ho'oponopono process, it helps you align the family. So this particular, what the prayer does is going to release resentments, upsets, anger, regrets, all these negative vibrations that are being held in your subconscious and disturb your peace. This is a reconciliation of the inner family, and Ho'oponopono means to make things right. And it is also a very powerful release prayer for those that have left our world. It releases souls to the path of pure light. So like right now, I can actually feel a lot of energy around me. And my home is a little ashram, and we do a lot of Ho'oponoponos here. And this is a very safe place and protected by very beautiful, beautiful, beautiful entities and angels. So It's not a concern of mine. But I know that the word has gone out that I am going to do a Ho'oponopono. And those souls that wish to be released are coming in. And so they're going to be released to the pure light. So there is going to be a part in the process where I'm going to be silent for about a minute for us to include people that have passed on in your life, in our lives. And we can also include people in wars and people in television and famous people and people that we've seen, in the news. And all of a sudden we're so sad. And those akakots will stay with us. It will affect us. And when we include them in the prayer, they will then leave you. You won't be able to do this. So what I'm going to do to gain the most out of this prayer, I'm going to ask people to pause this at their convenience so they can listen to it and then do it again. It is recommended that you write on paper that will be torn at the end, all the names and the places and the situations, the resentment, the upsets, everything you can think of that gets in the way of your peace of mind, of your health, of happiness, prosperity, and well-being. Look, you can write for hours about money alone, about the most negative experiences around money and finances and being betrayed and the banks. I was just going through this process with the bank, and I was refinancing my home because of many reasons, and all good reasons. I just do that every 10 or 12 years for getting myself ahead of the game. And I just noticed the resentment that I have with banks. I mean, just to read the pile, it's about 2 inches high, what I had to sign with the bank, with the refinance company. And I just noticed the resentment that came up. I literally, in front of a total strangers, I'm signing the papers. I'm saying Ho'oponopono because I can feel the upset I have with banks and how they have zero mercy on humanity. All banks around the world. It's like, unless they're very good banks. So then those are the things that you, on a daily basis, you're going to notice that resentments come up. You say Ho'oponopono, and your peace gets restored very quickly. And it's important that you put the names of persons that you're married to, divorced, deeply connected to you, your children, your teachers, your children's teachers, your closest family members, business associates, addresses of your homes, businesses, and of course, most importantly, persons that you have had intimate relations with and persons that have passed on. So you list as many of this, and what's going to happen is that during the prayer, we're going to be doing a short breathing exercise, and you will be asked to share your name, and the rest will be done by the divinity. So the short breathing exercise is going to be this, okay? You're going to count for 7. Imagine a square, okay? So you're going to hold for 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're going to inhale for 7 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, you're going to hold for 7 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then you're going to exhale for 7 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you're going to do that 7 times. And in a very sophisticated manner, you're going to remember by counting with your fingers. Okay?
Yeah, because I've done similar things and you do lose your place.
Do it with your fingers.
Okay.
And it's very, very easy to do. And there's going to be twice that's going to be asked of you during the prayer. So basically, we're going to be working. First, we're going to connect the inner connection between the families. Then we're going to do the breathing exercise. It's called the Ha. The Ha means breath in Hawaiian. So the word aloha means we're sharing breath. We're sharing love. We're sharing. That's why the word aloha means hello, goodbye, greetings. It also means I love you. It's a very powerful. The word mahalo means thank you. So it has the Ha. Many of the love connection Hawaiian words have the word Ha, which means really the breath. And then I'm going to do an opening prayer, and there's going to be a repentance prayer. And literally the inner family, the mother, the father are talking to the unihipili, the inner child. and the only child is being cleansed. And then we're going to go through a Ho'oponopono from the time of conception.
Oh, my.
It's not just this conception, but it's the conception of you. And then we're going to do the Mahiki, which is a problem-solving process, very beautiful, that you can do every night or every day. You have a process. Then we're going to do a release, a cleansing, transmutation, the peace of I. Then we do the breathing exercise again, and then we do acknowledgement, and it's over. Mm-hmm. All of this will take 15 minutes, 20 minutes. So for those that, first you have to do all the writing, and then you pause it, as you do all the writing, and then you come and do the process. And then at the end of the process, and I will say when it's completely the end, sometimes people think it's the end because I say it and it is done. Mm-hmm. Only that the process is done, not the whole process. I will make it very clear when we have finished, and it's time to tear up all the sheets. And sometimes people have dozens and dozens and dozens of sheets. Mm-hmm. And you can as messy as you want, in the front, in the back, on the corners, everywhere. Once you write it, you're releasing it. Then you put it in a plastic bag, and you literally take it outside of your home or your car or your office. You take it away. You put it away in a big trash bin away from you, or if you would like and it's safe and you are in a place that you can burn it, you can. Mm-hmm. But you just do not want to keep that torn pages in your home, your office, or in a place where you will be working or sleeping. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're in a hotel room, you take it, downstairs, and it's all torn up and it's in a plastic bag. You don't let one little piece of paper stay, and it is done. It is done. So it's a beautiful process. And I have to tell you that whenever I do the process, I feel like I've taken a shower. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful process.
Very cleansing. This is awesome. I'm really excited. Now, just so I don't have to hold on to this, be impeccable with your word. Number 4.
That's right.
Now I can let it go.
And that's a beautiful one because, and not to quote, the teachings, but being impeccable with your word is actually being impeccable with yourself, because there's only one judge. God is not judging us. We are the ones judging ourselves. Always. We have the inner hammer. And if we don't feel that we deserve something, and this is what we call the deservability level. Remember, if you want to, you can give everyone a copy of the magical exercises, because the magical exercises from my book, Access to Cash, is a chapter that we did this before, way before we learned Ho'oponopono, and is letting go of all this money stuff that we have with our families and that we learn from parents and all that. And so what happens is and it raises our deservability level. And if we feel like we really deserve something, that we deserve all the wealth and the health and beautiful relationships and the best job and the connections, whatever it is that you need, mm-hmm. for you to have access to wealth and access to experts and cash and investments and money and business opportunities, which is my new definition of wealth, mm-hmm. having access to. That's what the Ho'oponopono process does, is give you access, because you're letting go of self-forgiveness and reuniting the inner family.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to put this on hold for 1 minute, if you can hold me here. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to fill my glass with water because I already drank it up. So this is the beginning of the Ho'oponopono process. Inner connection. Divine Creator, Father, Mother, Son as one. Oh, my child, will you forgive me for all my errors in thoughts, words, deeds, and actions I have accumulated and subjected you to over eons of time? As your mother today, I forgive you for all my errors in thoughts, words, deeds, and actions I have accumulated and subjected you to over eons of time. As your mother today, I forgive you for all your errors, fears, resentments, insecurities, guilt, and frustrations. Let love flow from me to you, from us to the Father. Let divine Creator embrace us in the circle of divine love. This is the inner child now. I am a child of God, allowing divine love and intelligence to move and express in and through me. My affairs, both personal and universal, balance, perfect ideas, perfect relationships, and perfect right environment at the right time. I am and will always be in my right place and time for my own individual growth, personal success, and happiness to allow me to fully use my talent in this lifetime for my good and others. Right conditions, relationships, and ideas for a constructive future can and will be achieved through my complete acceptance, enthusiasm, faith, and humbleness of mind for my divine Creator, Father, and oneness of all life, my Alpha and my Omega. I will know and truly understand and experience the fulfilling, life fulfilling, for I deserve to have the water of life to sustain me now and always, for I am peace. The Hawaiians talked a lot about the water of life. Water is sacred in the Hawaiian Kahuna teachings, and so you will hear that a few other times. So now we do the breathing exercise, which is hold 7 for count to 7, inhale for 7, hold for 7, exhale for 7, and you do that 7 times. I will continue, and if you're still doing the breathing process, it's okay. You can continue doing it. You can't do anything wrong in the Ho'oponopono prayer. Nothing. So everything is perfect. Opening prayer, I am the I. I come forth from the void into light. I am the breath that nurtures life. I am that emptiness, that hollowness beyond all consciousness. The I, the it, the all. I draw my bows of rainbows across the waters, the continent of minds with matters. I am the incoming and outgoing of breath, the invisible, untouchable breeze, the undefinable atom of creation. I am the I. This is the repentance prayer between the individual, the groups, and the Creator. Divine Creator, Father, Mother, Son, as one, if I say your full name, everyone that's listening, and you say it out loud, Teresa, Carmen, Cordova, Michelle, our families, relatives, and ancestors have offended you in thoughts, words, deeds, and actions from the beginning of our creation to the present. Please forgive us, cleanse, purify, release, sever, and cut all the unwanted energies and vibrations we have created, accumulated, and or accepted from the beginning of our creation to the present. Please transmute all the negative, unwanted energies to pure light, We are set free and it is done. Ho'oponopono cleansing and problem solving. Divine Creator, Father, Mother, Son, as one. I, say your full name, Michelle. Our families, relatives, and ancestors wish to do a ho'oponopono with all of the people on the pages listed. And if you didn't have time to do the pages, anybody right now that you need to complete with and that your unconscious, subconscious knows, everyone included. It's okay if you don't remember outright, but they are all being included, including all of our fears, errors, resentments, guilt, angers, violence, attachments with people, especially the ones listed in the pages that we wrote or are having memories of, the places listed on the pages, any past lives, home ties that contribute to the cost of my problems. Cleanse, purify, sever, cut, and release all the negative and unwanted memories, blocks, and energies we have created, accumulated, and accepted from the beginning of our creation to the present. Transmute all these unwanted energies to pure light. We release them to pure light as they release us. We are set free and it is done. The Ho'oponopono conception. Divine Creator, Father, Mother, Son as one. If I, say your name out loud, Michelle. Our families, relatives, and ancestors wish to do a ho'oponopono between us and all the people listed in our pages and all of our adopted biological guardians, mothers, fathers, grandmothers, grandfathers, great-grandmothers, great-grandfathers, and all of our ancestors from the time of conception to the present. We include all abortions and miscarriages in our families and ancestors, also all those related and or affiliated with the case at hand, meaning any upsets and anything that's happening in your life. We also include the hospitals, staffs, rituals, party or parties responsible for abortions, miscarriages, suicides, infanticides, abuses, and also the addresses where they were performed. Cleanse, purify, sever, cut, release, and transmute all the unwanted, painful, and traumatic memories, blocks, and energies to pure light. We release them to pure light as they release us. We are set free and it is done. This is the Ho'oponopono Mahiki, the cleansing and releasing of negative vibrations from persons, entities, atoms, and molecules. Divine Creator, Father, Mother, Son as one. I, say your name in full, Michelle. Our families, relatives, and ancestors wish to do a Ho'oponopono of the following premises, persons, objects, transactions, atoms, molecules, families, relatives, and ancestors. If there are any earthbound spirits and or negative vibrations within, on, or around them, or if the following deceased persons. And now I'm going to be silent for about a minute, and we are to include, just think of anyone that needs to be included. And again, anyone that comes to mind, including, the news, anyone that comes to mind that has passed on, include them. So we'll do that now silently. And we include anyone that wants to be included in this. If they are earthbound, we humbly ask that they be cleansed, purified, and released to the path of pure light. No longer will they be earthbound. We release them to the path of light as they release us. We include premises, persons, objects, rituals, transactions, atoms, molecules, families, relatives, and ancestors. We are all set free, and it is done. Mahiki. This method is to be used by itself twice a week by anyone. It is best to be done before retiring. Okay, so I spoke before about the Haleakala crater. So what we want you to do is we want you to imagine this huge indigo bowl suspended over the center of the Haleakala crater. So indigo is this beautiful purplish, bluish, reddish color, okay? So you place all your problems, including with self, health, family, relatives, ancestors, pets, land, animate, inanimate things, anything, jealousies, possessiveness, lack of money, lack of security. So again, I'm going to be silent for about a minute. And even if when I start talking, if you're still filling up this indigo bowl, is totally okay. So now everything you can think of that is disturbing your peace and the peace of the world, please include in this huge indigo bowl. Okay. And anything else that needs to be included that you may have forgotten will be included. Your unconscious, subconscious will know this. They will be moved from indigo to ice blue to white colors, and the divinity finishes the treatment. This is the release. Divine Creator, Father, Mother, Son is one. I, say your name out loud, Doria, Carmen, Cordova, Michelle. Our families, relatives, and ancestors mentally detach ourselves from all involved in this case. We cut all aka cords. We are set free, and it is done. The cleansing. We mentally bathe ourselves from the top of the head to our toes with the following colors: indigo or purplish bluish light 7 times, emerald green 7 times, ice blue 7 times, and white 7 times. Transmutation. Let divine intelligence approve the release and transmutation of all toxins and negative vibrations to pure light. Let divine intelligence manifest harmony, love, wisdom, order, balance, perfect and right relationships, ideas, sources of wealth, sustenance, and energies. We humbly ask that we be surrounded with a gold band or circle. We are set free, and it is done. The peace of I. And this is the prayer I was talking about earlier that you can put all around airplanes and in your cars and in your homes, everywhere, especially around your children, grandchildren, your beloveds. You just surround them with the peace of I. Peace of I. Peace be with you, all my peace. The peace that is I, the peace that is I am. The peace for always, now and forevermore. My peace I give to you. My peace I live with you. Not the world's peace, but only my peace, the peace of I. And now we do the final breathing exercise. Again, we do this 7 times. 7 hold, 7 inhale, 7 hold, 7 exhale. You do that 7 times. counts of 7. If you're still doing it, it's totally okay. I will continue with the completion. Acknowledgement. We acknowledge the divine creator, our inner family, the father, mother, and child, the divine forces of the mineral, vegetable, and animal kingdoms, the foundation of I, Inc. Pacifica seminars, and all the Amakuas, Uhanes, and Unihiipilis who have been moved into the pure path of light. We include animate and inanimate things such as coins and currencies and their media of exchange, documents, letters, equipment, objects, sounds of speech, thoughts, deeds, and actions, even a microscopic cell or particle of dust that participated in or was included in the process. We acknowledge the Lady of Freedom, the Unihiipili of the United States, King Kamehameha I, the Unihiipili of Hawaii, Captain George Vancouver, the Unihiipili of Canada, Our Lady of Perpetual Help, the Unihiipili of the Philippines, the Unihiipili of each nation, and the Unihiipilis of the world, universes, and the cosmos. May the I continually bless all involved in the Ho'oponopono process. We are set free and it is done. We're now in the divine creator's embrace. Take a deep breath. That was the end of the process, but let's just stay together for just another minute or two. Just let's meditate a little bit before I finish. Oh, take a deep breath. I'd like you to tear up all your pages right now. If you can get a little plastic bag or some kind of a little bag to put all your papers in, put them all up and put them in there. Very good, very good.
Is it okay to put them in the wood cook stove?
Is it inside your home?
Yeah.
Would they be burning?
Yes.
Yes.
There's a big fire in there right now.
Yes, yes. As long as they disappear from your home.
Okay.
And you can do that in a minute. And I just wanted to, before we complete, Anything you would like to share?
Wow, I found that very powerful. I'm hot right now. I'm like my body heat has gone up a lot. Um, oh,
The Ho'oponopono process takes a while, and things will just dissipate at the speed of grace.
mm-hmm. Okay.
The prayer above the Haleakala with the indigo bowl,
Mm-hmm.
that can be done twice a week or
Okay.
necessary. So you just visualize the beautiful Haleakala mountain
Mm-hmm.
and above it, and people can Google that immediately if they can't wait to download the graphic that I sent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But they can just Google Haleakala and they will see the mountain or the Haleakala crater. So
Mm-hmm.
they have a vision of it. I mean, now it's so beautiful that we can just Google things
I know.
and we can, yes, we can just visualize a beautiful indigo bowl above it. You can do that twice a week. But the whole Ponopono process now, people will have this recording, they will have this podcast. So they can go ahead and use it as much as they want.
Mm-hmm.
But it is now complete. It is done. There's nothing much to do now. And of course, once you become a practitioner, you can, do it as often as you need to. And your own spirit, your own eye will tell you when to do it.
Mm.
And you become a worker of the light. When you go by cemeteries, just say the word Ho'oponopono, Ho'oponopono, Ho'oponopono. Morna used to teach us that you will be releasing souls that may be attached to their bodies. When you see news that disturb your peace, you can say the word. And those that are guided can go, and I believe that the foundation of I may still be there. I actually have nothing to sell, nothing to follow up with. This is my work of service, that when you ask, this is what Morna says. When somebody asks you and they want to know more, you share with them more, and that's why I'm here. But there's nothing that people now can't find. I would recommend that they learn from people that have practiced for a long, long time. I believe that Morna's grandchild is doing this, but honestly, I have never researched it because I feel that it is up to the individual to follow their calling, follow their path. Go do your own research, and you will know when, where, and whom to learn from. And it's not a commercial enterprise. Morna, was very reasonable in her charges, just enough for her to pay for things that were necessary for a classroom and simplicity. And that's what we do. We just keep passing the word and keep saying Ho'oponopono.
Thank you so much, DC. This really is a gift. I do have one question before we part. So, I think what I might be hearing you say is that if you have say if there's something going on with someone and you want to do the forgiveness process, would you just say Ho'oponopono and think of that person? Or do you need to go, thank you, I love you, I forgive you?
All those words are in the Ho'oponopono process. A word. They're already there. And if it makes you feel better, you can. Sometimes that's what is in English. And so, when you say, I love you, please forgive me, thank you, it's like it's, more familiar. And but you've already done the prayer. See, this is the mind sometimes cannot comprehend that the prayer has been done. It is, your subconscious will learn it. It learned it. It's in there now.
Right.
When you say it activates all that knowledge. And we are one. We are all connected. And so that's why, people that really activate us and we make wrong, they are our teachers of unconditional love. It's ultimately, we're working on our inner peace by choosing to take those actions and having those thoughts And like my beloved and I are doing the Course in Miracles. This is my third time in my life that I'm doing a Course in Miracles, and we do our best to do it every day, and then sometimes we get too busy and we pick it up again, and it's in my consciousness. It's my desktop of my, instead of, you look at your computer, or, we all have little desktop, even in our iPhones.
Yeah.
We have a desktop that is in our consciousness. So what is it that you're choosing to have? And for me, I meditate twice a day with a beautiful mantra. I'm a, transcendental meditator. And for a long time, that mantra was my desktop. Ho'oponopono is my desktop. My view of my beautiful ocean is my desktop. So if your desktop of your consciousness and of your mind is conflict and hurt and upset, and when we get really hurt and upset with someone, they stay. That's a really good time to say Ho'oponopono and have maybe the word be your desktop. And that will help you so much. And so as we, like right now, our whole building experience Ho'oponopono. And we've been having these plumbing challenges. We had a pipe break. I included all of that. So it's that simple. It's that simple.
Thank you so much for sharing this with us. Anything that you want to send me around this, I'll put it on the webpage when we upload this. And
Yes.
I thank you so much for sharing. It's been wonderful. I truly enjoy my conversations with you.
You too, and we'll keep talking about other things later, and see if you can come down to Money and You on March 28th. We'll talk about that some more later, but it would be great to have you. The group coming, gathering is so special. So, and I will be working on putting up the other interview in the next 24 hours. I've been preoccupied with a little flood that we had.
Yes, I'm sure that's at the top of your list right now.
Ho'oponopono.
Ho'oponopono. Yes, Ho'oponopono. Thank you, my dear.
Aloha.
Aloha. Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening, and thank you, Doria Cordova, for taking time to share Ho'oponopono with us. The podcast website is realjanine.com, where you can listen to and download episodes. Please sign up for the podcast bi-weekly blog newsletter so you can keep up on new episodes, archives, life updates, and healthy recipes. And remember, Janine is Janean. To subscribe to Keeping It Real with Janine, go to iTunes or your favorite podcast provider. And if you prefer to listen on YouTube, just type in Real Janine and my channel will show up. Please help out and subscribe. Do you know someone who would benefit from my conversation with Doria Cordova? Everyone can benefit from Ho'oponopono. Trust me. Please share the love. Thanks for listening. Take care and be well.